Good morning. My name is Marjorie Tingle, and I will be your conference administrator for today's symposium, along with Ms. Twinise Beaver. We are extremely thrilled to have with us today our youth that are going to be speaking. And the people that we have on, they're going to be discussing the Empowerment Within Me Youth Living with Sickle Cell, moderated by Carla Lewis, who is the CEO and founder of Kids Conquering Sickle Cell. Welcome to each and every one of you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I wanted to definitely have this particular portion of a session joined in the symposium because it's so important to hear from our youth that are wonderful and just resilient in just living with sickle cell and accomplishing goals. So I wanted to take the time to introduce today. I have Nahzi, Forrest. You can wave to the audience, Nahzi. Thank you. And I have Isaiah Corniff. Can you go ahead and wave to everyone? Thank you. And I have King Strayhorn. And I have Essence Davis. These four youths are just doing some awesome things in the community. And I just wanted to just share just a little bit about them. So I'm going to give the time, take the time for just our first person, that will be Kings. Can you please state your age and where you live and just tell us a little bit about you? We're going to allow, King wanted to be here to just introduce himself, and I'm going to allow him to rest because he's not feeling his best today. So I just wanted him to take this time to just introduce himself and tell you where he's from and just a little bit about him, and then we're going to allow King to rest.
Hello, I'm 14. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. Some facts about me. I like to, play basketball, play football, spend time with my family, play the game sometimes. And I have a foundation called Warrior.
Yes. Also, I believe a clothing line coming down.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you, Kings. King is very fashionable when he is ready, and he's doing some awesome things in the community, has does some modeling also. So thank you, Kings, for joining us. I am, you can take your camera off. And you can stay on if you would like, but I'm not going to ask you any more questions. I would like you to take this time and rest. We wish you well to get better and feel better. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you may take your camera off. Thank you so much. And then we have Nahzi Forrest. Nahzi, can you tell our audience where you're from and tell a little bit about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nahzi. I am from Florida. I am a sickle cell warrior, and then I also bake natural and organic treats for children living with sickle cell anemia and different forms of chronic illnesses.
Thank you so much, Nahzi. I appreciate you being here. And next, I'm going to have Isaiah Corniff tell us a little bit about you and where you're from here in Orlando. Where in Orlando you're from.
Hello, my name is Isaiah Corniff. I'm 18, I'm from Orlando. Some things I like doing is I like reading a lot and watching a lot of media, playing games. I like just distracting myself a lot from, what's going on in life. But also make sure, I go and exercise and stuff. So, I enjoy what I do daily.
Thank you so much, Isaiah. I appreciate your time being here and joining with us. Next, we're going to hear from Essence Davis. Thank you so much, Essence. Can you tell us how old you are and a little bit about you and where you're from?
Hi everyone, I'm Essence. I'm 12 years old and I'm from Detroit, Michigan. A little bit about me is I'm currently working on starting my own business and I'm currently me and my mom are doing some stuff for the sickle cell community. But right now, I'm just working on my business right now.
Thank you. And can you share what business?
My business would be create a clothing line and essentials for the sickle cell warriors out there and also create other cosmetics.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. So we have some great youth doing some great things. I'm going to get into some questions that pretty much so we can get to know a little bit more about them. Okay, so I know that living with sickle cell can be a little bit challenging. Um, and when you start, and a lot of you are basically in that phase of transition. So starting your physician starting to talk to you about more about what you should know about sickle cell and a little bit about managing how you manage sickle cell. How can you tell us a little bit about your experience living with sickle cell right now and how you manage your treatments of sickle cell disease, whether we're talking about medications when you're ill, basically how you listen to your body if you need to rest, those things that we are interested in here. How do you manage? I know for my son, I help to manage, right? For a long time, and now he does more of his care himself. So I would like to know, how are you managing living with sickle cell? And we'll start with you, Isaiah.
So I used to get into a lot of crisis a few years ago. But now it's a lot better because me and my mom have started talking to my doctors a lot more to try and manage my health better, and they've recommended a lot of medication and stuff, and transfusions, and putting us on more stuff to help us, not be in the hospital so much. And it has helped. Haven't had that many hospitalizations since then. But one thing I can say is just like, as a sickle cell patient, you really have to make sure you just stay on top of your meds. Um, because once you start slacking and missing days and stuff, it starts to stack on, and it might not seem like a lot, but for us it is. So I just recommend that you stay on your meds and you make sure you listen to your doctors and pay attention. Especially if you're getting older, you're eventually gonna have to, know this stuff yourself, and it is a lot of stuff. So just take your time and don't get overwhelmed.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Isaiah, for sharing that. And now that same question to go to you, Nahzi. How are you managing living with sickle cell? How you manage the disease?
The way I manage my sickle cell, my whole family, ever since 2014, we've changed our unhealthy eating habits. And now we basically just try to stay on a healthy eating path by eating tons of vegetables, fruits, and we all know that too much of anything isn't good. And we noticed that just by eating tons of junk food, such as chips, cookies, store-bought juices and sodas, those were really putting us in a sickle cell crisis. And everyone loves those, especially as kids. So it was pretty hard for us at first, but then we started to notice a difference. And I personally think that I'm able to do more activities that I wanted to do when I was younger because I wasn't able to go inside the pool or run long periods of time. But now I'm able to do all of those things.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Thank you for sharing. And now for Essence, the same question. How do you manage living with sickle cell disease?
I manage it by mostly resting down. I watch my food when I eat. I mostly don't eat, but I try to eat at the same time. I manage my pain by just rotating my medication. If the pain happens to get out of hand, me and my mom will take more measurements, like such as taking a warm shower or bath. Usually my pain goes to my leg and I have like little shocks. If that happens, I take one of my stronger meds and that usually helps me calm down. Usually I would just like watch Netflix or just watch a show or just play a game or just listen to music to distract me from it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Essence. So we know that at this time that you're expected to know your genotype, as well as you're probably familiar with treatments that are helping you. Right now, I want to ask each one of you, what is your genotype, and what complications and how often do you get a pain crisis? So that first question will go to Nahzi.
If you don't mind, can you repeat the question over again?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
What kind of sickle cell do you have? And if you have crisis, how often do you get crisis? Chronic crisis. And because sometimes there are two, sometimes there's pain, you have ongoing pain, and you may have a chronic pain crisis. So how often would you say you get a pain crisis? And also, what is your what kind of sickle cell do you have?
I have SS, and then also I haven't had a sickle cell crisis since last year's summer due to me overworking myself, especially like baking late at nighttime and just being up early in the morning taking care of orders. So just by me overworking my body, that really put me into a sickle cell crisis. But ever since then, I haven't had one.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And then same question for you, Isaiah. What kind of sickle cell do you have? And can you tell us how frequent do you get, we'll say major pain crisis, and do you have ongoing pain?
I have the SS sickle cell type, and I'd say I have major pain crisis like once every 3 months. Um, it used to be a lot more often, but it's gotten better now. I do say I have like ongoing pain. Sometimes it is worse than other days, but it's manageable. I just have to make sure I don't overwork myself or stress myself out, and or to not make it worse or anything.
Thank you. Thank you. And so thank you for answering that question. And I believe Essence, did you tell us what type of sickle cell you have?
No, I did not, but I have sickle cell SS.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to know, can you share what's so unique about you and what's your passion? I know that sometimes you may not feel your best, but definitely you have things that you really enjoy. And what helps distract you from different complications that the illness may produce? So what are the things that you enjoy that help you every day as you be that divine warrior living with sickle cell disease? So I'll ask you that, Isaiah.
Some things that are special about me. I do enjoy like using technology a lot, and of course reading. So like sometimes when I'm sick in the hospital, I'll like watch movies or stuff on YouTube to just keep my mind off of where I'm at, so I'm still in a good mindset and enjoying myself. Um, Also like reading a lot of books and playing games. I really enjoy playing video games. That also helps me and stuff. So that's what I would say.
Thank you. And also you, Nahzi?
I would have to say what makes me unique is that my two sisters are also battling sickle cell anemia along with me. And my passion is baking. I love baking. If my head is basically somewhere else, or if I'm not feeling good a specific day, I feel like baking is really my happy place, and it really gets me through just the day with everything. But just to be able to see smiles on other people's faces when they eat my treats, and just eating my treats on a daily basis, like seeing people do that, it really makes me happy, basically. So I would have to say that's my passion.
Thank you. And same question for you, Essence. What's unique about you, and what are the things that you enjoy that help you live with resilience living with sickle cell?
I would say, if I had to think about it, it would be one thing that's unique about me is that my mom and uncle both have sickle cell trait, I believe. And they're both battling with me. I know my mom goes through it a lot. And one of my passions would be music. I do like to listen to music a lot. It does distract me from the pain. And usually, if I'm not doing schoolwork, I'll be just relaxing and just listening to music. That's all I do most of the time.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing that. So, I would like to know, there are sometimes challenges that you as a kid may face, sorry, a young youth may face as living with sickle cell, and basically having interactions with friends. What kind of challenges would you mention that you've had living with sickle cell, having this diagnosis, whether it's impacting school or any other thing that you would like to share? And I'll start with you, Isaiah.
I know my biggest challenge living with sickle cell was definitely getting through school. Um, cause since I would get sick so often and be stuck in the hospital for long times, like weeks, sometimes a month. When I eventually got out and went back to school, it was always like really hard to try and catch up. And the school, they try to help, but it's not always the best because sometimes it's overwhelming to try and have to catch up on work that you missed while also having to do the current work that's being taught in the classroom. And sometimes it's just really overwhelming. Luckily, I did have teachers that like understood my problem and would help me more and or even excuse me from some things. So that was a benefit that I had while going through school. But it was definitely my toughest thing.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. One of the things that you mentioned was being in school and definitely having supportive teachers, and them understanding. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. What do you think was most helpful for you as you experienced hospitalizations and had to come back to school trying to catch up on work? What was most helpful for you, Isaiah?
I think the most helpful thing was just my teachers understanding my problem. I had a teacher that she also had family with sickle cell, so she would go out of her way to like contact me while I was in the hospital and to see if I was up for doing work there. And even if I wasn't, she would still make sure that she would stay in contact with me just to check up on me. And I'd say the most helpful thing about while being in school and having sickle cell is just having your connection with your teachers, because they help you a lot, and they really care for you, and they do want to see you, you know, get through school. So of course they're gonna help you and make sure that you are getting your work in and stuff. So I'd say just have a good connection with your teachers, and some of them will help you make sure that you're not getting overwhelmed and stuff.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, and I definitely think having a good relationship with your teacher in order to make sure you communicate of how you're feeling, and the work that you're responsible for, they can understand that. Also, for those that are watching, there are definitely plans that should be in place for our youth living with sickle cell, like 504 plans. So they have the assessments available for them. So we pretty much, they are allowed certain criteria of having things like a break. When they are hospitalized, they can make up work. They have extra time to make up work. So there's certain accommodations that are definitely available for those living with sickle cell or even any chronic illness. But it's definitely important to get a 504 plan in place and an IEP as necessary. So there are accommodations for those that every single youth, I believe, should have one. Every single child that's attending school should have one in place. And I will leave the next question to you, Nahzi. What kind of challenges have you had actually living with sickle cell, whether it's now or prior, and what has helped you?
I would have to say a few challenges that I went through in school mainly is when I was younger, I was never able to go outside and play with all of the kids because most of the time, if it was too cold or too hot, I would go into a sickle cell crisis, and my mom didn't want me to overwork myself at all whatsoever. And I would always get judged by kids hearing sickle cell anemia. They thought it was something like cooties. So I never really told anyone that I had sickle cell anemia because I felt like I was invisible to the face of the earth. And I didn't want anyone to know anything about it because then I felt like I was going to get judged, because I know how kids are very, very crucial. But now, since a few years passed and I learned more about my illness and my mom basically helped me grow my confidence, I'm able to let people know, hey, I have sickle cell anemia and I feel great that I have it. So now I'm able to help other children just like me to be able to use their voice.
Thank you so much. That is so awesome that you said that, the experience was hard that you went through, but having that support, of course, and confidence, you gained, you basically overcame that. So I thank you so much for sharing that. And definitely school can be very difficult when you know that the norm of other children to be able to play and do some things that you may not be able to do because it may trigger a crisis for you. It's definitely that important that you not only are aware, but you also learn how to adapt in order to keep yourself healthy, right? So, and that's an ongoing thing that just not you as youth, as you go into this continued transition mode, knowing yourself and knowing your needs, and addressing those needs. Even if you have some limitations, what can you do to overcome those limitations by making sure that you not only keep track of your medications and taking your medications, but if that staying in the pool too long is something that impacts you, you know how to make that adjustment. Same thing, not overwhelming yourself and stress, of course, also. So thank you so much for sharing that. Also, Essence. So I wanted to know, same question to you. What kind of challenges have you had living with sickle cell, and how are you overcoming it?
My challenge will be the same as Isaiah's school. I know my pain would kind of affect my schoolwork and I'll kind of miss out on it. I know once I got hospitalized, I will miss a lot of work while we're going to school back in person. I know I will miss work. And that happening, I know some of my teachers wouldn't understand that I had sickle cell anemia, or they just didn't know, or they just didn't want to learn it. And over that time, I just learned that I had to overcome it and I had to battle it. One thing I am doing to overcome it is by trying to keep myself calm by rotating my meds or taking this one medication that helps reduce the pain. And just when I'm in school, I would just try to bear through it until I get out of it. And then I'll just like, if my mom is at work, I will call her and let her know that my pain is increasing or any stuff like that. Or if she's at home, I would just go to her room and tell her. But like I said, my biggest challenge was school and trying to keep my work up and my grades up.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Well, all of you have mentioned the challenges of school and how you're overcoming that. And I thank you for sharing that. For those that are living with sickle cell, we know that sometimes there are health challenges. There are sometimes days missed from school, which impacts warriors, not just our youth, but also adults. So I wanted to thank you for sharing. And I want to know how important support is to you. Having family support, having friend support is so important. And also, we spoke about distractions, but also I would like to know how important, or have you also had mental health counseling in order to help give you extra support? So I'll start with you, Isaiah.
I would say that support is very, very helpful. I, I myself have a lot of support from my family and from my church that I go to. They always, whenever I get sick, they're always in touch. Sometimes they come to visit me just to come and pray and just to be there and sit with me while I'm in the hospital. And I appreciate all of them for that, because sometimes being there it does take a toll on you, and it is very stressful having to sit there all day long. So I do appreciate for them doing what they do. And I do have a social counselor that I talk to. She helped me like talk about some things that were going on in my life, and she was just there to listen to me, to talk about like the problems with me having sickle cell, and stress that comes with it, and problems with school, or problems with going out and making friends, talking to people and stuff like that. So I would say overall support is really, really helpful when you're having sickle cell. It's always good to have people there for you and always supporting you. And I'd say appreciate all the support that you can get.
Great, great, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And also, we're going to give that same question to Nahzi. How important is support for you? And have you had access to a mental health counselor that have been a part of your support? And please share. Thank you.
I would have to say support is extremely important, especially with family, just having them in your environment or space. And just having laughter amongst your family is really, really great to have, because then most of the times when you feel like that you can go through something on your own, half of the time you need someone that you're really close to or that you actually trust around you, just to help you get through that little cycle that you may go through. And I also don't have a mental health counselor. Anything that I'm going through, I try to talk to my sisters about it, because then I feel like that there's something like my best friend. So anything that we have a problem with or a challenge that we're facing, we tell one another.
Awesome. And what's unique about your family? You mentioned that not only you, but your two other sisters also have sickle cell. So you have someone that you can also relate with. And that's right in your home. And sometimes even going out and speaking, among a support group is different than having that accessibility right in your home. So thank you for sharing. So You also shared that family. Family is so important, having that family support when you're not feeling your best. And so thank you for also sharing that. And Essence, same thing with you. How important is support to you? And have you had a mental health counselor as your support system?
Um, Support is extremely important to me because I have family back in Michigan, and when I'm in pain, I know my mom will contact them, and like family members such as my grandma, my grandpas, my cousins, my uncles, they will all text me or call me just to support me. Um, I have never had a counselor, but I do talk to people about it around and my family.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Thank you for sharing that, Essence. And I wanted to definitely thank you for sharing just a little bit about how important family support is. And even if you don't have a mental health counselor, it's so important to have a network of people to always speak to about your feelings. So sometimes we are assigned, and we know mental health counselors are available and great. But if you have someone close to you, definitely share, because living with a chronic disorder definitely takes a toll. It causes a lot of feelings. Like you mentioned before, schooling was an issue when you can't go out and play like others or enjoy activities, as well as finishing activities. And as you know, I'm a mom that has a child with sickle cell, so I know how important it was for my son to be in school at times, and he hated missing different opportunities, especially coming up, whether he had tests and different activities coming at school that he wanted to attend, and that can get you down. So definitely continue to speak with someone, and we know how important family is, and also friends. So friends are also so important. Can you share, what would you share? What would you like to share about your career goals? So we know that you have plans of the future of doing a lot of things, and probably even going to school. So I want to know, and you're doing a lot of great things now and your interests. Can you tell me a little bit about your career goals, or if you're planning on going to college, what would that career be? Please share. Isaiah, I'll start with you.
So I am currently going to college and studying in computer science. I want to make video games and apps to eventually help people. I do want to make like a lot of stuff to help people with chronic illnesses too. I do have a lot of ideas. And I do eventually want to own my own business, and eventually even open a hospital too. So I do have a lot of big plans and big goals.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. Great, great, great. So Nahzi, you're the next one. Could you please share?
I have like tons of career goals. So I'm actually in my senior year right now. So my tutor, he's actually helping me look for colleges. And I think my major is going to be culinary. I will also be studying business and accounting, and then I'll receive my CPA for accounting. And hopefully before I leave high school, I open up my first bakery, because then I want to be able to have chains of bakery around the world. And also I want to be able to give back to different hospitals, just to be able to spread the word about sickle cell anemia.
Thank you so much. That is so great. You and Isaiah just have some awesome things that coming forth for this community. Boy, awesome, great. And I hope to see you accomplish those great things and see you on TV one day, just introducing that entrepreneurship. And Essence, can you please share with us your plans and career goals?
Well, my plan is once I graduate high school, I will be looking into a college and I'll study in medicine and stuff like that. Once I get my diploma, I would search for nursing schools so I can specialize in sickle cell anemia and working with sickle cell anemia patients and sickle cell trait patients, just for the whole sickle cell community. And just kind of like follow in my mom's footsteps. I know she has her doctorate right now, like I said last time. I want to follow in her footsteps, but I also want to specialize in cancer patients, and I also want to specialize in sickle cell patients.
Thank you so much. I can see, so we have a doctor in the future coming along, even on this panel. Great, great, great. So I thank you for also sharing that. I think that you all are resilient and just awesome. And I want to close with the last question before, actually two last questions before I move on for the audience to ask questions. We'll take some questions for the audience. I want to know, as you're managing your care with sickle cell, what's most important to you, how you manage your care with sickle cell? And I will have that first question for you, Essence, because I haven't given you the first question yet. What's most important for you? And it doesn't have to only be focused on treatment with pain, because we know sickle cell also has those complications sometimes that come along. But what's most important for you with managing your care?
One thing that's most important for me would just be just trying to forget about it. Just trying to relax, forget about the pain, pretend the pain is not there. Try managing it with, like I said earlier, medicine, trying to get it to work through your body and just get it to that one location that hurts the most, and just try to relax and forget about the pain.
Thank you so much. And that question also to you, Nahzi.
One thing that is most important for me to manage my care is most definitely taking care of my body and just my diet on a whole, because then I know that once I try to get off of my diet or try to slip something into it, knowing that I'm not supposed to have it, I know that I can go into a sickle cell crisis immediately. So I just try to make sure that I go on my daily healthy heart walks. I drink tons of water, and just keeping on the straight healthy pathway.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. One thing that all of you had mentioned is that you're very conscious about what you eat. And that is really great. When we talk about health and health choices, especially in this stage of transition, and I know that your parents has helped you along with this and understanding your condition better, but you all have mentioned along the way that what you eat is you're conscious of what you eat, and you try to make healthy choices in order to help your health. And another thing that you mentioned, which was great, was Isaiah that I believe mentioned it, was keeping track of medicine and making sure that don't try to let it elapse, because we know that it can be very challenging, especially when you're used to maybe your parents at one point telling you what time it is to take your medicine and help you along with that. But as you grow into that young adult, it's so important to definitely keep track, have a way of tracking, whether putting an alarm on your phone or when to take your meds, being able to have some reminders so you know exactly that if there's something particular that you need to do, that you have that reminder. And also, one of the points that I also want to bring out is that each and every one of you said that communicating, making sure communicate how you feel. There's someone that you're communicating how you feel too. So we know that communication is so important, especially when you have family support around you. And even if you may be lacking some family support, you should have someone that you can communicate with. So I just wanted to point out that those extra things. But I also wanted to actually share and the last question pretty much is, what would you say to another sickle cell warrior youth living with sickle cell to encourage them as far as pursuing their career goals and pursuing the things that they enjoy now? So just the things, just like the things that you enjoy now, baking, doing technology, being in technology, and also you, Essence, developing your business, even right now, even as youth. I think you guys are just resilient. What would some encouraging things that you would want to say to another sickle cell warrior living with sickle cell as a youth? And I'll start with you, Essence.
Some things I would say would always do not listen to negative people. I know some people out there will try to bring you down for just having sickle cell and like tell you, oh, you're different from us or this, that, and that. You are not different. You're different from everybody, but you are unique in your own way. So don't listen to negative people. Always keep your head up, do what you can just to get through everything. Just do what you can. Express how you feel to people. There's people, your pain can also affect people around you because there are some people around you that actually care about you. And you can always come to those people and tell them how you're feeling and just stuff like that. Just always keep your head up. Don't listen to negative people because there are people out there that will try to bring you down for stuff that you didn't do. You are different from people, but you are unique in your own way.
Thank you for sharing that, Essence. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that same question is for Nahzi.
I would have to say to all the sickle cell warriors or just anyone that's battling a chronic illness, if you have hopes and dreams, follow them. Most definitely follow them. And you would basically make everyone in your circle proud, including yourself, and ignore what anyone else is saying if they're judging you on by any how can I say it? Any way that you're trying to achieve those goals and dreams, just like ignore those words, because then most of the time when you try to listen to it, it'll push you back more than you would ever think. And know that when you're basically working towards your goals and dreams, Father God will notice that you're making the best achievements in your life, and he'll notice everything that you want, and he'll most definitely bless you with it. So I would have to say the two most important things is that the two most important things in life is the day you are born and the day you find out why.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. And Isaiah, same thing for you.
Um, I would say to anyone who's dealing with any kind of chronic illness is to keep your dreams in check and to find something that makes you happy, because you always want to make sure that you keep pushing towards something. And if you don't have anything to look forward to or to go forward to in life, then you have no motivation to keep going on. So find a dream, find something that makes you happy, set your mind to it, and keep pushing through everything. Keep going through every obstacle that comes in your way to get to that. Because when you get to that, you're going to have that sense of relief, joy, and happiness, and you're going to feel like a new person. So always just keep pushing forward no matter what's in your way.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I will say one last comment before I open it up to the audience to ask questions. And I want to tell you that you are so encouraging today, each and every one of you. I thank you so much for sharing with our community a little bit about you and just encouraging our community. So I want to just take the time to tell you that you are resilient. And everything that you want to accomplish, continue to follow your dreams, continue to follow those goals, and continue to encourage others. You guys are also an awesome panel speakers. Continue to bring awareness to the community. We need you. Continue to do those awesome things because you guys, you define warrior. Okay, you define resilience. So I thank you for being here, and I'm going to open it up to the audience to ask those questions. We'll leave it up to Nahzi that will be able to read our questions and produce.
Actually, there are no questions at this time in either chats, but our audience just wanted to let our speakers know how amazing they are, how strong, how inspiring they are. They just want to say God bless each and every one of you and continue inspiring and spreading awareness about our situation. Thank you all for your time. Thank you for being inspiring. Thank you for being such young advocates for us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we had a lot of comments just to share just how awesome that you are. And I appreciate that. And I just want to let you know also that the different business and careers that you mentioned, Nahzi, since we do have a little bit of time, can you tell us what brought your passion in baking and your entrepreneurship passion to already be a business owner? What brought that on? What was your first inkling that you knew, I want to bake? I like baking. I'm going to start a business. What started that passion?
I would have to say what brought Nahzi the baker to life is when I almost lost my older sister, Shakara, in 2014 to a massive stroke. And it was, I wanted to say, it was a day after my birthday. She was rushed to the hospital for a sickle cell crisis. So my family and I thought. And coming to find out, a few days had passed, and my mom and my grandma knew that her health started to decline, and they also knew she was having a stroke. They tried to tell the doctors that she was having a stroke, and they thought that they were crazy until they also started to see my sister's health declining. So a few weeks had passed. They put her into ICU because how bad the massive stroke was, and she didn't even remember us at all. And she started to numb the skin off on her fingers. So she basically was back to a baby stage, and her cognitive skills were extremely low. And one of my mom's good friends had actually checked up on Shakara, my oldest sister, and she said, "Hey, Twinkle, I heard what happened to Shakara. I hope everything is okay. And I'm sorry what's happening to her." And she also asked my mom, "Have you heard of a doctor named Dr. Charlie Ware?" My mom was like, "Dr. Charlie Ware? I don't know anything of this doctor." And she actually said that her daughter, Maya, has been pain-free for 3 months. And my mom was mind blown. She wanted anything that Miss, what is her name? I'm so sorry, that her friend daughter had. And we actually made a doctor's appointment with Dr. Charlie Ware. And he told us that children living with sickle cell anemia were committing suicide by their unhealthy diets. And we actually went to the doctor's office. He basically was having a conversation with my mom, and he first asked her, "Okay, what are you feeding the girls for breakfast?" My mom answered grits, bacon, eggs, sausage, all of those things. And he said, "Okay, that's good. What are you feeding them for lunch?" And my mom answered with, sometimes they'll have sandwich with their hot chips or juice or soda. "Okay, that's good. What are you feeding them for dinner?" My mom answered with fried chicken. They'll have their white rice, black beans, all of those things that you can think of. at this point, my mom felt extremely proud of herself until he told her, do you know that you're basically killing your daughter off by what you're feeding them? And immediately my mom was in shock and she started to break down, because then she never knew that the foods that we were eating was actually killing us off. And just by me hearing him saying that we can't eat any more of the junk food, I was extremely upset. And I knew that I was a sugar head and I really, really love sweets. So I knew that I had to change something for my sisters and I. I was upset, but I wasn't completely upset. So immediately when we went home, I looked up more healthier treats and more healthy ingredients for my sisters and I to be able to use and also eat. And I found a few recipes, but then I knew that I wanted to put my own twist to it. So the first thing was peanut butter cookies. I told my parents about it and they didn't want me going in the kitchen at all, because then they felt like I was going to burn the kitchen down. So I finally convinced them to let me go in the kitchen. I made the peanut butter cookies that was sugarless and flourless, just with ripe bananas. My family really, really liked it, and I knew that I still wasn't satisfied. So then I went ahead, did some more research, and I noticed that everyone were making cheesecakes at the time. So then I wanted to put my own little twist to it, of course. And I didn't want only my family to taste it. So I went ahead outside of my house and I allowed all of my neighbors to taste it. And I had one specific neighbor and they told me that I should sell my treats. Now, mind you, I did not have anything in mind of selling it, because then I didn't really care about the money at the time. I just wanted something sweet to eat. But then once my family and I went home, we actually sat down, had a discussion about it. And we noticed that we didn't want to just sell it to have the money for ourselves. We wanted to be able to help children just like us that has the same illness as us. So we started off with our TLC bags. It has coping strategies and prevention strategies such as stress balls, pinwheels for breathing. And then we also have jump ropes and lip gloss and makeups for the girls, of course. And that's basically how Nasha the Baker came to life.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Great,
You're
great,
welcome.
great. Awesome. Oh, wow. I didn't even know so much. And we had our session together prior, but great. Awesome. And Isaiah, can you share what dragged your interest into technology, of all things, technology?
So what I originally did want to be a doctor and studying hematology.
Hmm.
That's what I was telling myself I wanted to do throughout high school, and I mainly wanted to do it because I did have sickle cell and I did want to help people with sickle cell. But once I got to like my junior and senior year in high school, that's when my health started to really decline. And I started getting sick a lot more often. And I being in the hospital, it helped me realize that playing video games and like watching media and movies and stuff, it helped me like get through those times a lot and it helped me distract myself. So that's when I kind of realized that maybe this was a better opportunity for me to go through. Instead of trying to become a doctor, I could study in technology and find ways to help people with sickle cell in that way. And that's when I started to eventually plan to like make apps and stuff for to help people with chronic illnesses, to like take track of your medicine, help remember your medical information, all the kind of stuff that you need to know as someone who has any kind of chronic illness or medical problems. So that's really what led me on to realize that I wanted to study in technology, and it helped me realize that I wanted to use that gift that I had to help people in that way.
Thank you so much, Isaiah. And with you, Essence, the health field has been on your mind, and you also shared a lot. So I want to know what drove your drive to want to go in the health field.
What drove me is my mom. She raised me mostly by herself, but we had family help out. I've been watching her go through nursing school. I've also watched her work with other patients, and I just told myself one day I want to follow in my mom's footsteps. I want to become a nurse practitioner. I want to get my doctorate. I want to help other people. I want to help patients. I want to help people. I just wanted to follow in her footsteps. Also, just watching her work hard and her getting her own business, that's what also made me want to start my own business. So basically, I'm just following in her foot tracks, just following after her, because I all my life I wanted to be like her. I wanted to be like all her jobs except for one. That's another story. I just wanted to be like her. I just wanted to work at all of her jobs. I just wanted to go to all of her schools. Just nursing, she inspired me to do it.
Thank you so much for sharing. I know your mom must be just so proud, and all of you, your parents must be so proud of you right now, because I'm telling you, you're having my eyes water, and you take my heart, because I just know that you are all going to be just resilient professionals at whatever you do, and as you are now doing that right now. And I thank you for joining this session. We thank all the audience for coming in and supporting to join this symposium, and also our empowerment session with our youth. We have some awesome youth in the community. As you can see right now, our warriors are just resilient, and they can really define what a sickle cell warrior is. And I'm just proud of you guys right now. I want to just take the time to tell you, enjoy the rest of the symposium. We are ending this session. It is time for a break.